Okay, everyone, it's Dr. West and Victoria in the office with just an incredible patient journey, patient success story. And Victoria said, hey, I need to let people know what's happened, because if someone's out there that is in my position, they need a little dose of vitamin H. So vitamin H isn't a real vitamin, it stands for vitamin hope. And so, Victoria, our paths connected how long ago?
Almost 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
And I came in dead. Heartbeat. Barely a heartbeat.
It was a striking contrast to how well you're doing now. Like it was one of those instances where as we were doing the workup, I thought, please don't die in my office.
Yeah, we sat right here in the dark because I couldn't take any light. And you were so kind to leave the lights off, and I had to take my sunglasses off. I came in here with sunglasses and noise canceling headphones because I couldn't take it.
And it wasn't exactly like it was across the street. I mean, it was kind of across the country. Like, where was it from?
So we drove here from Texas to get me here.
So Texas to Idaho, it's 20 hours probably or more. 20 plus hours. And tell everybody that weird and problematic, and like it was just a really fascinating place where you came from, because you were bedridden for a long time.
I started being sick when I was 9 with migraines, and grew up on a Navajo reservation with ticks. I mean, we ran wild in the sagebrush. Didn't think anything of it, but I started getting sick very young, and the migraines just got worse. And that was the first thing that manifested itself, was the migraines, and they were so bad and got worse as I got older. And finally, I was having my babies, and my OB said, "These are going to kill you. You can't keep having children." And thinking that tying my tubes was going to fix it, we tied my tubes, and I got worse, substantially worse. I started having strokes and seizures, and I was blacking out all the time and fainting all the time. I couldn't take care of my kids. I couldn't take care of myself. And it was a slow, agonizing death into what we lovingly called my black hole. And for about 17 years, I lived in an 8x8 room with no windows. I slept in a recliner because I couldn't lay down flat without going paralyzed. I just had to be in the dark. And I quit leaving my house. I quit having conversations. I couldn't talk. I couldn't hold a thought in my head. I couldn't carry a conversation at all. I couldn't function.
And was there any medical attempts at trying to help get you better? Was there medications? Or like I know you saw a lot. Yeah.
So we tried everything. The specialist thought maybe I had a brain tumor. Did numerous MRIs. They were always doing a CAT scan or an MRI or something. Neurologists, all the specialists. I went to all the herbologists, or whatever you call them, and any kind of guru that anybody would suggest. We tried diet, we tried supplements, we tried acupuncture, tried the weirdest things, just anything that anybody suggested. And I remember when I'm laying on this bed and this weird man is running his hands above me, not touching me, he's just doing this. I don't know what he's doing, and I'm thinking, this is how desperate I am for something to work, that I will try anything.
And what made you decide to get in your car and drive from Texas to Idaho?
So we found on BYU TV a show called The Story Trek, and there was a story on there of a woman that had Lyme and was having seizures, and she had found you and told her story, and so we thought maybe that was worth a shot. I'd given up on everything because it was costing us so much money, and I felt so guilty for the money we were spending on me, and nothing was helping. But I thought that might be worth a shot. So we got in the car and we came, and I walked through those doors with zero hope. And I thought, maybe this will just be one more tried thing that we can check off the list that isn't going to work.
And so, Victoria, our office visits are a little bit different than normal
Yes.
office visits. So you brought it here. What happened? What?
So you sat me down and you talked to me, and I don't remember because my brain didn't function back then. I just remember you pricked my finger and looked at my blood under the microscope, and you told me I had Lyme. We could see the parasites in my blood, and you said I was one of the worst, but not your absolute worst. And I just started crying because I thought, you can tell me what's wrong with me when nobody else could. And that means maybe you can help me.
Right. So it's so common for people that have a chronic debilitating illness to have some type of infection going on. Maybe it's Lyme disease, and we can see, the spirochetes, or it's, other viral indicators, or the blood tests will tell us that, it's a type of bacterial infection. But that paper that I give everybody, I talk about all the time on our radio show and our podcast, is the British Journal of Medical Practitioners. And it says that chronic infection causes neurobehavioral, neurodegenerative, psychiatric, autoimmune, and fatiguing illness. So it just wipes out your nervous system and makes you super tired. And so when we were talking, we did the workup, I'm like, that is exactly what it is. It was just clear. Okay, you have this, now let's try and build you up. So we started this pathway of it, and I call it Humpty Dumpty medicine. You fell off the wall, we're in pieces, we're trying to put you back together. And so tell everybody what we did to help put you back together.
Oh, well, I was pretty dead, but you explained it all when I was dead, and I never asked questions later. But the way I understand it, you started cleaning my blood. You started with my blood and my immune system. And within 2.5 weeks, the migraine that I had had 24/7 for 20 years was gone. And I could think, I could open my eyes, I could sit in a room with light. I thought, man, if this is as good as it gets, I'm golden. This worked, because the migraine was gone. I knew that there was so much else wrong with me, but that was a game changer for me. And after that, it just kept getting better and better. And after a month of being here, I walked out of here a new person. I could hold myself up. I could function. I could sit in a room and have a conversation with other patients. I didn't have to be in a dark hole all by myself. And that was everything to me.
So everyone, to what we did for her, again, it's build me up medicine. So we outlined some nutritional supplements specifically based on her blood tests. We did some vitamin infusion therapy. We did some oxidative medicine therapy, which we're putting, oxygen into the system. And then, just as important of all that, we did something called neural therapy, which is how we reset the nerves. So the nerves get a memory. And so one of Victoria's conditions was her nervous system was death is here, and her nervous system thinks normal was here, and we wanted her to live here. And we've got to get that nervous system to reset, which is basically to open and close and reset the nerves. And tell everybody kind of experience with neural therapy, because sometimes people are like, well, I don't want you to do anything with injections, but it's really important.
I love it, and I say bring it on. Yeah, it hurts a little bit, but it's my favorite part. It really is my favorite part, because it's so noticeable, the difference. It's just a bunch of little injections, but it changes it changed my whole life, and it continues to. It's a game changer. I don't know how to describe it. I beg and borrow to get here so that I can get neural, because it's so important, and I feel so good. It just changes everything.
So Victoria, it was 17 years in the dark room, mm-hmm. I think it was. And so from literally out of hope, out of options, with literally no life, literally sitting in the dark, waiting to move on to the next phase, or at least that's kind of the
I
sense
prayed for death every single day.
And now this miraculous transformation, it's just been awesome to see not only the physical health improve, but the amazing, just person improvement that we've seen in the last 3
years. Well, you guys don't just work on the body. You work on the mind, you work on the spirit, you work on the heart, you work on the emotional part of everything too. It's a complete, it's all complete, because it's not just physical. When you've been sick that long, and that debilitating of stuff, it messes with you in all the other ways too. And that was something, I wasn't sure you guys could fix those things. But you worked with all of that. The mental part of it was really hard for me to get through, because I'd been sick so long. I'd been feeling guilty for so long for what that was doing to the people around me, my children, my husband, and the toll it took on everybody. And the guilt I felt from everybody thinking I was choosing to be sick, that I wasn't really sick. It was all in my head, or it was somehow a choice I was making, which is ludicrous. Nobody wants to live in that kind of who in their right mind would want to live like that? But so it was a whole spiritual experience coming here. It changed my physical, my mental, my emotional, my spiritual, everything.
Well, and what's fascinating about that is it's lonely to be chronically ill. Like no one understands, your battles, what you're going through, and I tell people this all the time. Like it's just lonely. And so we have to add, components to address biochemistry and hormones and physical and emotional and spiritual and energetically. And so, Victoria, I ask this to every patient that's had, a health challenge or a chronic illness. It's not that you wanted to repeat what's happened, but there is usually a pretty important lesson that you've learned or something that's really helped you become the person that you are today. So if someone's across the street or across the country and that's chronically ill, like what advice would you give a chronically ill patient to keep on going, and what's the lesson that you've learned out of this experience?
Keep breathing. Keep your heart beating till you can get here. Do whatever it takes. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. And don't give up, and don't listen to the voices in your own head or the people around you that are negative. If you know you're sick, you know you're sick. And do what you have to do to take care of yourself. And without this place, I could not positively think my way out of what I was in. And a lot of people thought I needed to do that. If I would just be more positive, then it wouldn't be so bad. I couldn't think straight at all until you guys cleared my mind enough that I could function. And I could never have done it on my own.
So everyone, the way to help people is to try and just balance everything up and to build people up in the areas that they need building up. Physical, biochemistry. I mean, I've said this before. And Victoria, thanks so much for sharing your story. Like it's awesome. And I'm so honored and humbled. Like I'm thinking, okay, my work here is done. I'm going to go home.
No,
I'm
thank
not really
you.
Going home.
That you and your team, seriously, there's no better place in the world. This is like coming home to me now. And you guys are family to me now. And this place is sacred. And what you do for people is amazing.
All right, you guys.
Eternally grateful.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
It's been a phenomenal, life-changing experience for Victoria and also me and our team members to see someone that was just so ill and praying to die and couldn't handle light and couldn't handle stimulation, couldn't have conversations, and yet holding on to a little, spider web of hope. And then we were able to build on that, and it's just one of my favorite stories.
Thanks.
All right, you guys, Victoria and Dr. West at the West Clinic, and we'll see you guys on the next patient success story.